Hi friends, welcome to Rajisreflections. Being alone without feeling lonely. As discussed last week, today we will explore this more deeply. At the end of the talk, you will also understand and accept that there is a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Perhaps the next time you find yourself alone, instead of feeling lonely, you will feel, no, I am not going to complete the sentence now. You will yourself at the end of this talk. Many of us fear to be alone. We fill our days with noise, mobile browsing, conversations, TV shows, working on some responsibilities, listening to music, whatever it is. Anything to prevent the silence from touching us too deeply. Because somewhere within, we have mistaken solitude for emptiness. But what if solitude is not emptiness? Let us reflect. Children often talk to themselves while playing. Have you ever noticed this? They are alone but not lonely. Why? Because imagination keeps them company. Presence keeps them alive inside. As adults, we lose that intimacy with ourselves. We become strangers to our own hearts. Solitude restores that friendship. Each one of us faces certain moments in our life when we are left by ourselves. Perhaps after the children have grown, when relationships shift, in the early dawn before the household wakes, or late at night when the world softens. Those are not accidents, those are invitations. Solitude is not a punishment, it is a sacred pause. Loneliness makes us feel that I am missing someone. Solitude whispers to me, I am meeting myself. And this meeting of oneself can feel unfamiliar. When the noise reduces, something else becomes audible. Our own thoughts, our unprocessed emotions, our long forgotten dreams, even our silent prayers. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. We realize how much we have avoided listening inward. But slowly, if we remain with it, not running away, not reaching for distraction, you can feel something shift. Solitude becomes your companionship. In the spiritual journey, every seeker must pass through this doorway. Saints, sages, poets all stepped aside from the crowd at some point, not because they dislike people, but because truth often speaks softly and solitude is a must to hear the truth. When we are constantly surrounded by opinions, expectations, and identities like father, mother, teacher, professional, friend, neighbor, then we forget the one identity that matters most, the soul. Solitude removes these labels. It gently asks us, without all these roles, who are you? At the first instance, when you encounter this questioning, it puzzles you, it frightens you. But that question is not frightening, it is actually liberating. Being alone without feeling lonely happens when we begin to experience our own presence as enough. This does not mean we reject relationships. It means we are no longer dependent on them to feel complete. There is a deep maturity in this. Imagine sitting by a river at dawn. No phone, no conversation. Just the sound of flowing water and the soft light of the rising sun. At that moment, you are alone. But are you lonely? No. Because you feel connected to nature, to your breath, or to something larger than yourself. That same connection is available even when we are sitting quietly in a room. It is for us to connect and feel. Loneliness often arises when we expect someone else to fill an inner gap. Solitude heals that gap by helping us discover that nothing is missing. Within us is a sacred companionship. Call it the self, call it the divine presence, Call it the inner witness. The moment we begin to feel that presence, solitude transforms. It becomes nourishment. There is a subtle joy in waking up early before the world stirs. In those still moments when the mind is not yet crowded, we sense clarity. Thoughts move more gently. Prayer becomes more intimate. Even breathing feels like a conversation with existence. Those who wake up in the early hours of the morning can feel those still moments which are more sattvic in nature. This is not isolation, this is intimacy with the life itself. Many fear that if they sit alone, sadness will surface. And sometimes, yes, it does. Solitude is honest, it does not decorate reality. It allows suppressed emotions to rise. But this is not a weakness, it is cleansing. When tears fall in solitude, they are often healing tears. They wash away accumulated noise, they soften the heart. And gradually we realize something profound. We are never truly alone. Even when physically alone, there is an awareness watching, witnessing, and embracing us. In spiritual language, this is the indwelling divine. In psychological language, it is the grounded self. In simple terms, it is the quiet sense of I am. That I am is not lonely, it is complete. When we sit quietly, we begin to notice small details, the rhythm of our breath, the way thoughts come and go, the subtle feelings we usually ignore. We start listening inwardly with compassion instead of judgment. And slowly a new relationship forms. A relationship with oneself that is not critical, not demanding, not comparing, just accepting you. In that acceptance, loneliness dissolves. Because loneliness is not the absence of people, it is the absence of connection. And connection begins within. Feel only within. Spiritual traditions across the world emphasize retreat, not permanent withdrawal, but intentional solitude. You must have heard of people going to such a retreat like Vipassana and so on, where you are all to yourself. Why? Because clarity grows in quiet soil. When we constantly seek validation outside, our sense of worth fluctuates. When appreciation comes, we feel elevated. When it is absent, we feel invisible. But in solitude, worth becomes intrinsic. You begin to sense, I exist. That itself is sacred. No applause required, no audience needed, just being. There is a powerful dignity in that realization. When you are comfortable being alone, relationships change. You no longer cling. You no longer feel abandonment. You can love more freely because your joy does not depend entirely on another's presence. You meet others from fullness, not from need, and that is true companionship. Solitude teaches us to enjoy our own company, to sit with a cup of tea without reaching for distraction, to take a walk without headphones, to watch the sky changing colors at dusk. These are small practices, but they reawake our inner stillness. At first, the mind may resist. It will say, hey, this is boring. But beneath that restlessness lies an unused depth. If we stay a little longer in silence, the boredom transforms into spaciousness. And in that space, insights arise. We see patterns in our behavior. We understand our fears. We recognize our strengths. We forgive ourselves more easily. Solitude becomes a mirror, not to criticize, but to reveal. And sometimes in that quietest moments, grace enters. A sudden peace without reason, a gentle clarity about a difficult situation, a feeling of being held by something unseen. These are gifts of solitude. Being alone without feeling lonely is not an escape from society. It is preparation for meaningful participation in it. When you know how to stand alone peacefully, you can stand with others without losing yourself. That is the strength. In many spiritual paths, the journey inward is described as returning home. Not a physical place, but a state of alignment. Solitude is the road that leads there. It strips away external noise and guides us back to essence. Perhaps the next time you find yourself alone, instead of reaching for distraction, pause. Close your eyes. Notice your breath. Feel your own presence. You may discover that what you feared as loneliness is actually a doorway to depth. And slowly, gently, solitude will no longer feel like absence. It will feel like sacred companionship. Because when you are rooted in your own being, you realize you are never empty, you are never abandoned, you are never incomplete. You are simply rediscovering yourself. And that rediscovery is one of life's most beautiful reflections. Thanks for reflecting along with me. Till we meet next time, try to be alone and reflect for some time, at least once in a day. Introspect yourself, feel your own presence, and try to rediscover the deeper spaciousness. Subscribe to this channel if you have not done so far, and share it with your friends and relatives. Be happy and stay healthy till we meet next time.